Welcome back to the Conjugate Dads podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dave Chase, with Justin Commodores. This is our 10th episode, Justin. Honestly, very proud of us. Last few weeks kind of been the summer dog days here with me always getting sick, and we were just talking about it before we recorded how I've just kind of understood that I'll just always be sick. And how old is your oldest kid? 10?
11.
Yeah, so like maybe by the time Theo's like 11, maybe he won't get sick every other day.
I want to say 5 or 6, but then they go into elementary school and then they have to get everybody else's germs.
So that'll be great.
Yeah, that's why you got to stay healthy so you can fight back against all that stuff.
You know, you'd think that all the fitness that we do between the two of us, that we'd always be super healthy, but I just, not the case. Anyway, today is part 2 of the role of fitness for parents. I know that last week we kind of laid out why it's important to set the example just from notes from our last episode, making it easier on yourself and then make the most of that time, discipline and consistency. And then we did lay out some plans for parents last week with walking 30 minutes a day. You can, of course, do more than that if your schedule allows. Moving in different patterns with your body weight, push-ups, planks, lunges, etc. And then don't make your children an excuse. Marching also is another thing you could do. So don't make your children the excuse as to why you can't work out. And it's funny that we talked about that on the last episode, because the last few weeks, Emily has been working out at nighttime after she puts Theo to bed. And most of the time I'll go out there with her and either do another workout or I'll go on a walk while she's working out. But she said this is the only time that I could do it so I can spend time with him. But then it's not an excuse to just not work out. So it's been great to see her really get after it.
Does she like, I'm just curious, does she like having you out there, or would she rather do it by herself? And there's no wrong answer.
I think that she'd rather have the nice peace and quiet without me. Like I went on a walk last night because she said, you're critiquing everything that I do, and this is kind of my time, man. And I said, well, I can, promptly shuffle out of here and just go do a walk. And she said that's probably a good idea. So it's not that she doesn't want me there. It's definitely like a because we're coaches, right? I mean, you wanna coach someone, and really she just wants to have fun. She wants to get like a good sweat. She wants to listen to her Taylor Swift or whatever musician.
It's such a unique dichotomy, right? Because you want to spend time with your spouse, but at the same time, sometimes for I know for a lot of the women that I work with, that time is like it's their free time. It's their time to break away and relieve some stress and work on them. And I know just from my experience, not with my wife, because I enjoy working out with my wife, but if I work out with a group of guys or whatever, like there's definitely something to that whole West Side theory or philosophy where it was more about the group than the system. I would debate that, but
it could be both. I mean, both can definitely be true.
Yeah, for sure. And granted, in that situation, like Louis was there to say, like, shut up and work, right? So those guys weren't talking. They were getting after it. They were competing. But like in a lot of situations where you get these groups of people working out together, like they're in the gym for 3 hours. And like, I just don't have that. I don't have that time. So, I mean, I've had people out here that have seen me on social media and they're like, hey, can I come work out with you? And it just never works out because I either have something that I need to get done and I have to kind of just do it on my own time. Because that's why you have a garage gym, is because you can just go out and do it on your own time.
Yep. Exactly.
So it just becomes different. But I was just curious, because everyone's different. Some people like that positive motivation and reinforcement when they're training. And then other people really get a lot of dopamine from being able to do it themselves, as long as they have something to follow. So obviously she has the Train Heroic that I write the program for her to be able to go in and follow stuff.
Yeah.
Which usually takes care of all the other issues.
Right. I mean, I will say that when your spouse is there, you're definitely more accountable to it, right? Like she's like, hey, like I don't have the time for this setup. Can you set it up for me? The straps with the front rack loaded, can you set this up for me? Hey, can you put these weights away? Like she's super short. It's like, yeah,
if you
I can
have
do that.
Somebody
sure.
holding you accountable to the rest intervals, but then you have somebody that's racking and unracking your stuff for you, you just saved yourself 15 minutes.
Sure, yeah,
at
and it's a
least.
pain.
Like,
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
definitely a pain. And once we got past the main movement, she's like, "I'm honestly like," I ended up just sitting on the bike and doing 10 minutes on the Airdyne, and she was like, "You honestly can go on your walk. Like, I know you want to like get out and like get a good. I'm trying to
yeah,
like hit this the monthly challenge that I have on my Apple Watch is like 6.25 miles or more for 14 times. So I have to do it for like the rest of the month just because I've been sick the first half of the month. So she's like, I know you want to hit your distance. I'm like, hey, like that's good. And she knows that like I also can get out of that. It just gets hot in the garage. Like sometimes you just want to get out and see the sights. Like this morning, I'm out there today. I'm like, hey, I need some time just out in the sun, dude.
yeah.
But
And that's like the name of the game with this topic of our podcast is, and I think it's a good segue to have that discussion around like the importance of that discipline and consistency. I think that's what it all boils
mm-hmm.
down to. It's like, so for me, this is going to sound like super silly, but when I don't know, it's like 5 years ago now, when I went through like my really getting lean transformation, there was like two really big components to that, and a lot of it was built just around like zone 2 work, but the other thing was just like using this to my Apple Watch to close my rings. So if I set that movement goal really high, so I set mine at 1350, and I will just try to get that every day. Like, there's just like no excuse for me to not close my rings. So if I haven't been moving, I have to get up and do things. If I don't get my walk in the morning, I got to get it in the evening, where I'm getting on the bike or something like that. Because the reality of it is you don't burn that many calories strength training. And I think that's where people go wrong with their nutrition, is like I just did this really hard hour and a half lifting weights. They really only burned 450 calories, depending on how big they are. And then they go and eat a meal that's like 1,000 calories because they're
So
so
that's
hungry.
the 2 hour training session at your local commercial gym with your 3 or 4 buddies, like you said, and it's not West Side where you're pulling a lot of weight, and then you go to Chipotle or another quick, what is it called? It's not fast food. It's like convenient food or something. I don't know. I forget the name of it. It's like quick. It's like where you can make it your food like within a matter of minutes, but it's not.
Gotcha.
It's not fast food. But anyway, it's
Yeah.
like you can go to a Chipotle or a Cava, and then all of a sudden, like you're eating that 1,200 calorie burrito bowl, and you're like, dude, it's fine. I worked out. I used to do that. And like, I don't know, what
Yeah.
was that, like
But it's
2012,
not. But
2013?
it's not
Yeah,
though.
it's not good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You're
so,
20, you're 21, 22, and you're like, hey, I can eat whatever. And like, that is
well,
true. You can eat whatever.
that was the thing for me. It's like I played football for so long, like you've just kind of adapted to doing things a
Sure.
certain way, and you
I'm
get in
always
your
going to eat this
30s.
way and be this way.
Yeah. And it's like, so think about that. You're training, you're conditioning, you're speed training, like you're doing agility stuff. You're doing 2-a-day workouts. Of course you can eat however you want. You have to have that energy, right? But as you get into your 30s, and at least for us, like, and this was probably before you had started at 5 Star, but like we were still for the first 2 years that I was there, we still had chairs in the store. And so half the day, guys were sitting in the chairs. And then one day, I was watching cams and I'm like, dude, no, this is awful. And I literally took Charlie's chairs and I threw them in the dumpster. And I remember calling him and he's like, good, because guys need to be on their feet more, moving around, helping customers. They're just wasting time and money. So
Well,
the minute I got rid of those chairs, I started hitting 15,000 steps a day in
right.
that store doing what I was supposed to. Next
Well,
thing I know,
that's a long store too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
In the
So
Waco store, yeah.
so it's like if you have people that are used to sitting down all the time, and then they just get up and move a little bit more, you're naturally gonna burn some more body fat and burn more calories. But the dichotomy is there's like the average person, when they go to their global gym, like you were talking about, their 2 hour session, right?
The Globo Gym.
So what's tricky about that, Dave, and this is a fact, your first 45 minutes, you're really running on like three things: glycogen, testosterone, and growth hormone. And at that 45-minute mark, really all three of those things kind of take a dump. They go down.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, really all you're running on then is cortisol. So that's why after that 45 minutes to an hour, you're just like, I'm so hungry. That's the stress response to I need to store more things. So I'm going to be hungry. I'm going to create this appetite from your brain. I'm going to create this appetite because I just went through this hard 5 mile running from a lion, because your body doesn't know the difference between, trying to survive getting eaten and training really, really hard, right? And so you go and you just crush all this food, and it kind of just defeats the purpose unless you're trying to gain some size, right? Then
Sure. Yeah.
obviously that's different. But
Or you're doing a ton of, like I have a friend who's like preparing for like a marathon, and like he's
Mhm.
eating so much food, but like we met him and his wife for pickleball and then brunch, and he was like, oh yeah, I already like went on like a 10-mile run this morning and like walked the dog and had to eat breakfast. I was like, that makes sense, dude. And he's definitely like probably like 180, and he's like, I
Yeah.
cannot eat enough. Like I'm actually upset because I cannot eat enough.
I mean, it's just, you have to look at what's the thing that you're doing. And again, like, nothing against people that do triathlons or run marathons or
Sure. Yeah.
long bikes or whatever, but those aren't necessarily like the best activities for sustained fat loss and muscle gain, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's such a balance between, I'm fueling my body for performance versus I'm trying to lose fat. Those two things don't really give 100% back to each other. So
Right.
it's just that.
I was going to note back on, like you said, like getting in a lot of these steps when we were in retail together. And what's funny is, what one of my favorite parts of the job was? You want to take a guess? Something that involves like moving around quite a bit.
Stocking the shelves.
The shipments.
Okay.
Like we get that 1 to 2 pallets dropped at the front of the back of the store, whatever store it was, and maybe it wasn't my home store, but then I was elevated to a new position. It was like, hey, like,
and it's 120 degrees outside.
right. And I was like, you know what? Honestly, I would rather do this myself because I always stocked it the way that I liked it.
Yeah.
And then I would go to the store the next time. And of course, it's all fucked up. Like, it's not where it used to be, or like boxes would be underneath. You ever like, I mean, you have 3 kids, right? We don't drink milk in this house, but we are going to be soon with him transitioning. Like he's doing formula now. But I mean, like not like writing down milk like as a kid was like a problem, right? Or like leaving like the smallest bit amount or of whatever in the fridge. Sunny D is something that we had. It's like, could you imagine like doing that at your own house? And now these kids are doing it at the store with all of the supplements. I'm like, you cannot leave one thing left in an entire pill box. It was just annoying the shit out of me.
Because you had a busy store too. There were times where
all of them,
we would get four pallets. Like even
Right.
when you were just in Tyler, like you get 4 pallets because you and I both always had top 3, top 5 stores. And so when you talk about top 5, that's like
try to stock
plus.
it as much as possible so then you'd never run out, because then you run out and people are upset.
Never want to run out.
Yeah, you see your guy or gal that comes in and they're so friendly with you, and that was another great part of the job, was like they were so friendly with you, and then like when they didn't have their stuff, like they were like, now I got to order it online. Like I don't want to do that. I like coming in and talking to you and going through the whole thing.
I don't want you to do that either.
I don't want you to go online either, because now I'm not going to see you. I mean, obviously, people lived far away and they said, hey, like I just drove an hour to get here. Like I don't want to have to order online, but it makes the most sense for me. I'm still going to come in and do, the consultation part and the in-body, and like that's fine too. I mean, at the end of the day, I was just happy that they were still interacting with us in some way. Yeah. But the stocking, I mean, doing that sort of stuff was just because it gave me the ability to keep moving and doing something like that keep me busy. That first store that I had in Massachusetts, like we only saw probably 17, 20 people a day. So like I was just always stocking, restocking, reorganizing. Like that was a big part of that specific job.
I liked it too, for sure. I think we used to get out there and it would be bright and sunny and hot. We'd take our shirts off and people would be driving by and honking at us as we're bringing boxes in the back room, because they would stack the pallets right behind the back door in Waco, and that back door just goes right into the stock room, and you can prop it open, but then that AC. I mean, we had that AC serviced 6 times.
Well, that AC was so bad, and they every single time they come out and be like, "You need to replace this," and it's like,
and they wouldn't.
No,
so they would just pay to keep fixing it, keep pumping, 10 pounds.
Because we didn't own the building, so they were like, it's up to the people who own the building.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
we had to deal with that, but I mean, that was always fun. We always had this once a week. We never had to throw away the pallets because this Hispanic lady knew our schedule of getting pallets, and she would just
She
come and
took them, right? Yeah.
pick up the pallets. Yeah. I put
Yeah.
them in
I
her
think I
truck,
still
and then
left them. I think I still left them behind the store because they said someone will pick them up. Like, don't worry about
yeah,
it.
they take them and sell them.
That's fine. Yeah.
So yeah,
I was just
whatever.
happy people. I always hated throwing them in the dumpster because I said someone could either use this for wood or for stocking their own things for their own business. I mean, it does sound weird to me. I'm sure it sounds weird to other people when I say this, but I hate throwing stuff away if I know someone else can use it. Like any clothes, when I left a job, whatever job that may be, I'd always donate any clothes that I could.
Yeah.
It is what it is, right? I mean, you hate throwing away a dish. It's like, oh, I can use this dish.
Well,
Like
that
I
and
can
like
use this or whatever.
we'd always get in an argument with like the owner of Double Dave's because he'd be like, "Oh, you're always taking up all the dumpster space," and I'm like, "Well, stop throwing away so much dang pizza then." Like you guys throw away like 50 pounds of pizza every single night, like taking up the whole trash. And
Why don't you give it to the homeless in that area?
Yeah,
I mean, Waco seemed to
exactly.
have a little bit of a homeless problem.
Yep.
But yeah, to circle back to our topic, when you're a young kid and you're moving around the store, you have this active job, and then what happens? You get married, you settle down, you have a kid. Maybe not necessarily all in that order, but you become older, and then everyone's just sitting on their butt working a desk job. What do you think's going to happen? Now you're creating a need to move, an even bigger need because your kids
Well,
and your
that's
health.
what the thing is. Like people always like, oh, I get older and the fat just starts to come on. And it's like, no,
You
yes,
get older and
hormones
you
get
get
busy,
lazier
but
for
you
sure.
slow down, right?
Yeah,
So the
you're
goal is
allowing the
like
slow.
as stuff starts hurting more. That's true, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But your joints do start to hurt more. But at the same time, like you're slowing down. And so when you slow down, that's when stuff starts to go wrong. Then it starts to get harder to do the things to get back into that shape. So it's so much easier to get fit and then keep it
right.
just by continuing to go.
I don't know. I like to say every single time with other people, either coming to the garage gym at the house or I'll work out with other people, I'll say, it never gets easier. It has never gotten easier for me. I would say that I think it's gotten harder only because the expectations are so much higher for myself. When I was 21, my expectation was, hey, you're just going to work out and the body will come. And now it's like my expectation is I need to work out so hard and so efficiently for my goals so that I actually can reach them. It's just
So
the process is definitely
yes,
longer.
I do agree with that. What I mean when I say it's harder, it would be harder if you stopped
Yes.
from now until you're 43 and
Right.
then tried to come back. That would be a task and a half. And you can do it. Right. It just takes discipline and consistency. It'll be so much better when you get there that having maintained your fitness levels or gain on your fitness levels, because the biggest difference between where you're at and where I'm at now is really just recovery and how your joints feel. So you have to have more volume in certain places in order to continue to make progress, right? If I want to continue to push my bench to a certain level, like I have to continue to make progress in, rep maxes or max effort, right? It's not just going to come from me doing the same thing over and over because that's just going to keep your
Right.
baseline. So you have to make changes, but you have to do it intelligently too.
Well, and also to that point too, I think that the numbers definitely being like a PR, like when I hit a PR, like I'm always super jacked up and very excited about it, or like maintaining what we already have. But I would say the biggest goals that I've hit in the past 6 to 9 months, I mean, well, it's been before that, but I would just say over the course of this last year, so 7 months, I don't have any lower back pain. I don't have any knee problems. I don't have any hip pain. I have a little bit of mobility issues, right? Can definitely stretch more. But like I wake up with no pain every day. And I think that is such a big win. It's kind of like that guy or gal who plays basketball or, any sport you could say. The offensive lineman that like isn't in the stat sheet, but he didn't give up a sack. It's like, hey, like that's a heck of a game, my man. Like you played 70 snaps and you didn't let up a stack and you didn't let up any pressures. Like you pitched a perfect game, to be honest. Like that is, you
Yeah.
didn't screw up. Like, and my body is pitching a perfect game in the sense of it is not breaking down and becoming weaker to now we can't do basic functions like bending over to pick up my son or go on a walk. Like, let's say, hey, you have to go get the mail or walk your dog. I can do all of those things and be, if we went on a Disney trip right now, I'd be fine. The only thing would be just the heat. Like, hey, the heat and the humidity is awful,
Yeah.
but my feet can handle it. My body can handle it.
This, you just drove a stake into my brain and made me come up with a really great point here. So like, why is that the case, right? And right before this podcast, I just sent Dave a really funny video of there's these group of guys, and most of them are pretty young, and they don't even really look like they work out, but they're what's called like science-based trainers.
Yeah. I'm actually going to call myself a science-based lifter from now on.
They
Put
take
that in the bio.
The raw data that they view, and they essentially, like, that's the word of God to them. So if we know for the most part that you can take any movement to 2 or 3 reps shy of failure on whether it's bilateral or unilateral movements, and that's gonna create some form of stimulation or adaptation in the muscle to get it to grow, right? But the funny thing is, and the joke in the video was that there's this like huge guy that's jacked, and he's like, you know, I train been a failure quite often. These guys don't even look like they work out. They all look the same. What's the issue here? So it's the spectrum of gains where, like, for me, what I try to do with Dave, because if I let him, Dave would go so far to the left and just go to failure on everything because he's psycho and wants gains so bad. I tend to be the same way, except I know better. Okay. So let me go through making the mistakes so you don't have to. And he can attest to, he will say, like, hey, I want to do more. He'll send me a video and I'm like, bro, no. Like, we'll come back to that. You already set a 5-pound PR. That's the true balanced area where people tend to mess up. Is it's either I'm on one end of the spectrum and I'm going to be 5 reps RPE shy of failure, reps in reserve, whatever, 5 reps shy of failure, versus there's the guys on this side that go and beat the crap out of themselves all the time and they have no longevity in lifting. And so what Dave is describing is that we're able to essentially, when we do max effort work or sub max effort work, we're PRing just about 95% of the time, which is 90% of the time is what we're looking for, right? There's always going to be a time where you're not feeling your best, you were sick the last couple of weeks, whatever. So, but if we're constantly beating the heck out of ourselves, going to failure on everything all the time, you're not going to have any longevity. These guys on the right side of the spectrum, they're going to have longevity, but they're never going to make any results either because they don't know how to push themselves at the right times. Right. So that's where periodization becomes important. And I think this is critical for parents and adults to understand, because there's so much trash out there that people just don't know what's what, and they get stuck in this holding, or they try this side and then they try this side and they end up back where they started. That's kind of what we were talking about with CrossFit, where it's like people go balls to the wall and they try to do what everybody else is doing instead of figuring out what they need and taking it to what their perceived, limit is on what they can handle, and then recovering and then coming back to something different eventually, because you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect that you're going to get results with it. You have to change things.
Well, don't you think too, like the 2 to 3 reps in reserve method is good for most people? You're pushing it, you're saving a little bit in the tank, you're not going all out. I had this talk with a friend yesterday. Like, he said, hey, like, I hit on my very last set of bench. He always does like some drop sets, and he hit 40 at 135, or maybe it was 140 because I think he was using a 30-pound bar. And I was like, that's amazing. Like, on it. And I said, do you think you could hit any more? And he said, no. And I said, well, yeah, like, you thought better than to bring it down for one more. And that's growth. Like, that is actually doing the right thing and racking it versus like, hey, like, let me go for one more and then fail and then drop this thing on my neck. Like, it's just not a smart, like, you have to learn how to train. And I will say, like, you're giving me crap for like pushing it all the way. Like, I always want to push it to the limit. I would say since Theo was born, I have started, because Emily's been giving me a lot of shit for it too. Like, hey, like, you got to train smarter. Like, you can't hurt yourself because now you're in a position
if you're
that you're out of the
crippled
gym
the
or
rest of the day from your workout, Dave,
right.
what good are you
Yeah.
in a situation where you have to move real fast, or you have to, push
And
somebody
he's
out of
crawling all over the place
yeah, like
now. I
what
mean, I have to run after him. I crawl on the ground with him and we
if
do it together.
so if you have an insanely hard squat workout to the point where you can't bend over because your knees hurt so bad you can't get down on the floor with him, and he's only a little tyke right now, it's like what's the point of that? Versus we could use brief maximal tension, or we could use the submaximal effort, take it to that point where maybe it's a 6 rep max with 1 in reserve, and you just get it and then you get out and you still feel fresh, but you got enough stimulus to make progress and you hit a PR. So it's like you have people lack the understanding of like what that threshold is. And I would say most people, unless they've done something like CrossFit, don't really know what that threshold of pushing is, right? Like how hard can you go where it's like not junk volume, but like to the point where you don't have but a rep or two left. You have to be in the gym for a long time to know what that actually feels like. So I'll prescribe things for newer clients to get them to feel what that actually looks like, but within their comfort zone. So just as an example, the guy that the strength classroom guy that I did that podcast with, he just reposted a clip from that podcast about
I saw that,
using that tactic with ascending sets. And I use this with you sometimes too, but with unilateral patterns, because you can push those harder than bilateral patterns. So like I'll have, if it's a female and I really want to get an idea of, and I want them to get an idea of what it's like to push close to failure, I'll just tell them, hey, I want you to grab 20-pound dumbbells and I want you to go max reps and stop just before you're about to drop the weight. Okay. For dumbbell bench press. And the next set, because I know they're going to do like 20, 25, 30, whatever. The next set, I want you to go up 10 pounds and I want you to do that again and leave 1 rep in reserve. And then on the last set, I want you to go up another 5 to 10 pounds and I want you to go to complete failure, because you don't really need a spot on a movement like that. We wouldn't do that with squats. Definitely probably wouldn't do that with deadlifts unless it's like an RDL or something. RDL would be okay. Deadlifts, there's just too much going on there for form to break down. If you know how to hinge, you could do that with RDLs, but I still would rather not somebody do any form of hinge to complete failure, because you're just going to end up using your back anyways. Like most people, their hamstrings are too weak. So that would be a really good tactic for somebody that really doesn't understand how to push to a perceived, almost max failure for max reps. That would be a good tactic. And essentially that's just called ascending weight sets, where you're building up to max reps every single set.
Well, and the other thing too is like the different styles of training that you can do, like time under tension, quick reps, tempo sets, those translate into real life, right? Like if you have to pick up one of your 3 kids out of a dangerous situation, you're grabbing, that's a speed set, right? Like you're grabbing them. If you're trying to slowly show Jack how to work on his swing or slowly rotate him. I was doing a kettlebell swing with Theo last night because Emily said, well, what's a power swing? And I'm like, of course, I grab him, I lean back. And I'm like, I'm kind of slowly doing it and showing him. I'm like, oh, you need me to show you again? And then she's like, well, let me give it a go. It's like we're practicing these functional patterns.
Emily, did you watch the video?
Trust me when I say this, she does not watch the videos. It's always, or it's the classic, or it's the classic. This video's too long. I said, what you do is you kind of skip all the way until they're about to do it. That's okay. That's
Dave,
what I do.
I know that the kettlebell power swing is me.
Yeah. No, it is you. It's like 10 seconds. Yeah.
10 seconds short.
10 seconds.
So a kettlebell power swing, just for people wondering what that is, you're just going from a dead stop, like a cable pull through with the kettlebell behind you, in between your legs behind you, and then you explosively pull from a dead stop to a Russian swing, and then you go back to a dead stop and start over.
Right.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think with a lot of people though, like they just have to get the idea of what that feeling is like. And for people that don't know what that feeling's like, what's one real easy way for me to guarantee that I know that person can go close to failure? is just to type in all caps, max reps, right? There's no RPE there. There's
They
no
won't,
like,
but they won't go to max. So you say, hey, like max -2, I think is actually more efficient because
yeah,
then you're like, okay, I have about 2 left. Like I'll drop it. And it's like, because if you are going to that max reps, you really shouldn't be able to pick it up one more time, even just one more time. Nope, can't do it.
it's a known thing though with women that their threshold to a max is much different than a guy's. So typically, we talked about this before with fast twitch versus slow twitch muscle fiber, Dave. You can probably do 6, 7, or even 8 reps with 80%, where I can maybe only do 4 to 5 reps with 80% because I might be a little bit more twitchy than you are, right? And you do really good with grindy reps. So your first rep can look like, 2.2 meters per second, which is slow. And that second rep will switch to 0.5 meters per second. And it's like,
right.
Again, because you're just different. That's just how you are, right? Well, women in particular, they can handle more reps close to failure or close to their 1 rep max. And I've seen this with my high school girls that I coached in weightlifting, where they can bench 5 reps at 90%. You add a 2.5 and they can only get 1 rep. So there's this again, this unique dichotomy there where it's like, where are we at here? And you have to learn that individualization with different people to figure out like what their thresholds are. And I think the takeaway with moms and dads, especially if you haven't lifted a lot and you're older, is that you need to get an understanding of what that's not only like what failure feels like, but what it's like to train hard, right? So we're not talking about doing 2-hour, 3-hour broccoli head globo gym sessions, right? We're talking about 45 minutes to an hour. The rest intervals match what you're doing. So if I'm doing a heavy set of 3 on bench press, I need to rest 2 to 3 minutes, versus if I'm doing tricep extensions with a moderate weight for 4 sets of 15, I probably only need to rest 45 seconds to 60 seconds, right?
If that, yeah. I
If
mean, you can
that.
just keep going. Yeah.
But you have to understand that there's strength endurance is important, just like strength is important, right? And so if you're pushing your strength endurance, you're going to make gains in strength, and you're going to see adaptations in all of the other methods that you can apply to what it is that you're doing. So,
well, wouldn't you say too, being an athlete, being a retired athlete, but still athletic, right, in your training, that does help you as a parent say to your kids when they're doing organized activities, hey, I know you can do more. Like, hey, like, let's push it. Let's do it together. You're not only setting the example, but now the expectation has become higher for them. If you want Jack to be great at golf, you're showing him, hey, I can do this, but also I'm right next to you the whole time. You're not just caddying for him. If he says, hey, I want to walk the 18 holes, that's quite a bit for him, but I know that you can do it, right? And of course, like, I imagine the respect that your children have for you is so, and Megan, is so high because you're
yeah.
able to do, you've never probably said to them the phrase, I can't do that. I'm incapable of doing it.
So that's why fitness plays that role, right? So like I hadn't played golf in 2.5, 3 years until, 2 months ago when he started getting out there and being serious. And I'm like, well, there's nothing that says that I can't get up and go do that. And not for nothing, but like I also don't want to go out there and embarrass myself and be chunking shots left and right. Like I want to be able to try to develop some form of swing so I can actually go out there and play with him and have a way to motivate him. And so being fit is even with golf is incredibly important. I mean, I don't know if I told you this, but like when we went and played 18 holes, I turned on my golf, and I topped out like 2,200 calories from 18 holes, and that's with the golf
Just
cart.
walking,
Yeah,
golf cart,
walking, swinging.
swing. Now you got to go get your ball.
So yeah, granted it's 4 hours of work, but still it's like you got to be fit to hit the ball the same on the first hole as you do on the 18th hole, right? So it's like that example then is there for him later on, is that he understands that, yeah, like even though golf isn't perceived as this like strength sport. It is actually a power sport because you have to have some form of prerequisite strength and power to push the ball down the fairway when you swing the club, right? So it's the same thing in any other sport where if you, let's just use grappling as an example, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, if you take a blue belt and a blue belt that have even skill, but then you have this blue belt who's better conditioned and stronger, even skill, but better conditioned and stronger, who's going to win that match 99 out of 100 times?
That's more conditioned.
The person that's more conditioned and stronger, right? So then if we take golfers, even skill, right? Even technique, even experience, and let's say psychologically they're in the same place, because that's a really important thing too in golf is the brain, right?
Tough one.
If you have a higher swing speed and you're stronger and you're better conditioned, you're going to push the ball down the fairway farther. You're going to be more focused after those intervals of walking to your ball, right? Because you're walking 300 yards after a drive, hopefully 250, 300 yards, and then another 100 yards after your approach. So it's like, it ends up being like, 5 miles to walk the 18 holes or whatever. And so those people that are fit are going to be better off, even if it's just a recreational thing. So as that pertains to being a parent that's fit, like, again, no matter what it is that your kids decide that they want to do, there's going to be some prerequisite level of fitness for the parent to have to be able to keep up, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I know for dads, like, with boys or girls that compete in sports, like, keeping up is an important factor. And if you're not fit, you're not going to keep up with the 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, it's not.
I mean, imagine the day that Theo beats me in any sort of organized sport, I'll be devastated. I'll say he's surpassed me.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to delay that. We have what is it, a month? Yeah, about a month, 2 months until his first birthday. And every year, I've seen this online, we're going to do a race. I'm going to smoke him year one, like a 100-meter, dash. And it's going to be every single, and whatever he beats me in that, or basketball, or I don't know how you would play one-on-one football, but some sort of technical, sport.
Oklahoma drill.
I would hope that I never get beaten by him, but that'd be a rough one. The way he's going to be built because of me and his mama, I don't know. He might bowl me over one of these days because she's got some muscle.
I have a great fast story that's just like that. So I was 13, 14 years old in 8th grade, and it was probably like Christmas or Thanksgiving, but my mom's brother, my uncle, was over at the house, my brother and my dad, and we were all visiting or whatever, and we're talking football because there was football on. And I being, 14, and I was really good on the team that I was on and stuff in Pop Warner my 8th grade year. And I got to talking a little bit of trash to my dad and my uncle, who, at the time, dad was early 40s. And then
this is holding on to the youth.
And then my uncle was probably early 30s at the time. And I said, "You guys can't tackle me." They're like, "What?" All right. So we went out in the front yard, and the two of them stood in front of me, and they threw me the ball, and they said, "There's the goal line, get past us." And they both played football, so they know what's going on, right? And so, like, I had nowhere to go. So my only choice, and I was only 140 pounds, but my only choice was to try and just run right through them. And they just high-load the crap out of me. And, and I wasn't
fucking ass over tea kettle.
Yep. And they weren't ready to let me have it. And I think that's cool because, a lot of parents will say, like, "Nah, just let your kid win, make him feel good about himself." But
never.
I think there's a delicate line there, but I think that was so important for me to have that kind of like humbling moment, because it was love, right? They picked me up, they hugged me. "Hey, we love you, kid, but we're still men, and you're just barely a teenager." So
sure, yeah. You're not close to our level yet, and that's okay, dude. Like, keep living your time, living your times, dude. Yeah. Like, you're gonna be here 30 years from now, and you're gonna be like, "Hey, I still got it."
Yeah, and I just think those are like those core moments for me. Like when I was talking about in the last episode, when my dad went out there and played football with us for the last time, like those are the core memories that I take with me. And try to pass along to my kids in a very similar manner, because I mean I want them. I think every kid has a chance to be like the better version of their parent if
Definitely.
they're raised properly. And I think like
Yeah.
my dad saw that in me. Like he can go to the above the level that he went to, which was playing semi pro football and trying out for the Eagles and all that kind of stuff. Whereas like I did it. I got to go to maybe right below the echelon. So it's like with my kids, it's whether it be, certainly they'll do better in school than me because I was a C+ student, but because I just didn't apply
Thank
myself.
God you were good at football.
Yes,
There we go.
yes, because who knows? Who knows? But so for them to be able to go above and beyond where I'm at, is, to me, it's mind blowing, because, or at least you hope that's what happens, because I feel like I've had some pretty good success, especially in the last like 5 years, with the things that I'm doing that I never thought I would have been able to do. And so if they can, I mean, if they get the opportunity to go above and beyond, that's amazing. And again, that's taking all of what they're seeing and what they see me do and what I teach them, and then applying that themselves and then
Yeah.
taking it further.
And they see you do everything. I mean, they can either watch you grab the bag of chips and watch reality TV, or they can see you go on a walk every night or get in that garage after, when it's close to bedtime. And they don't know the difference. I mean, I think it goes back to what you said, like your body doesn't know the difference between if it's running from a lion or if it's working out in your typical global gym. I feel like your kids don't know the difference on like what normal is supposed to be if you're always just like, hey, we're going to go on a walk after dinner because that's just like what we do. It doesn't have to be we're pushing the pace. We're just casually walking around trying to get some energy out before bedtime. They can carry that into when they're in school and they go, hey, I just want to go on a walk before bedtime because that's what mom and dad did
It's
with
just
me.
something that you
Like,
do. Like I know
helps me clear my head. We talk about our day. You can
yeah,
go by yourself. I talk about it in my day to myself all the time.
yeah.
It's okay.
When Jack played his first 18 holes last week,
How did he shoot?
he
He had a good caddy.
I mean he did good for, with when you're dealing with 6-year-olds, they typically will tee them off at like the 170 or 150 yard marker on the long holes, and then the par threes they can tee off it from the ladies tee, because they just can't push the ball far down the fairway. Yeah, he can drive it about 150 on a good shot, so, which is great. But so, before we went out, I had made some monster mash because I knew it was something quick, and he saw me eating that, so of course he wanted some,
I want it because dad wants it. Yep.
and we both ate it, and then we went and played golf, and then we both, even my wife, we all played really good, and so now he's like, I want to get some monster mash before
Right. It's in his head. It's a ritual.
But
Yeah.
but now let's look at the opposite side of that coin. If I'm having a drink every time before I go out, or if I'm having a drink before I read you a bedtime story, that kind of becomes the natural thing that's built into that kid's
Sure.
psyche is,
Sure.
oh, dad's having a glass of whiskey to help him go to sleep every night or something. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we're talking about health in little kids here. So like what they see does impact, them later on down the line, and what they do. And so if we want to, and this really just wraps up the standard of, why you would want to be fit as a parent, is that they're going to see everything that you do, and it's going to impact them. And so let's do it in a way that's positive, right?
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing too is like he may be the only kid. Is he's first grade this year coming up?
Or first grade, yes.
Yeah, first grade. He might probably be the only kid, definitely, that's like eating Monster Mash for lunch. But it's like just part of life, dude. That's just
Yeah,
what we eat in our house.
but yes, I mean, and if, like, I like Halo Top, right? It's protein ice cream. So like he wants to eat Halo Top. So like his own Halo Top. Like it's just funny how that works. And yeah, kids got to live their life. And this is not me saying,
Sure.
let your kids eat.
Well, you go to a kid's birthday party and everyone's eating cake. You can definitely have a slice of cake.
Yes.
You're 6 years old, dude. Like, go ahead.
We're talking about daily
every day.
examples here, people. Like,
Yep.
let's be super realistic.
We're
So,
talking a pack of cigarettes per week, or I just watched that documentary about Big Vape, like the rise and fall of Juul.
yep.
I was just thinking, and Emily even said to me, because she was kind of peeking over in between watching or reading her book, and she was just like, "What's like the big deal?" And it was like, vaping is 10 times as bad because you're gonna keep doing it more and more and more because you want that constant hit. And like if people want to vape, I don't care. Like that's your choice. It's the same as like smoking cigarettes or drinking alcohol, drinking yourself to death. If that's what you want to do, go for it. I don't think that that's the smartest thing to do. But to say that like you don't pick up on those habits, I mean, usually people who are smokers or drinkers, like you said, it comes from or overeaters like myself, it comes from the family. We always had food in the house that was not good for you. And I'm not blaming my parents, but I definitely didn't need to eat it. You know, I mean, it's kind of a double edged sword. Like, you don't want to blame anybody for it, but I mean, you're going to learn it from someone.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah. I mean, it's never too late. Like, people
yeah,
tell
that
them
too. Yeah.
they're already too old. Like, whatever's going to happen. It's like, they still will have the opportunity to make their own decisions, but you can't account for what's getting hardwired inside their brain because you can't see what their eyes are seeing. And so,
But you can try to mitigate the circumstances
yeah, I mean,
by changing your own habits.
the biggest takeaway from my childhood, other than I had an amazing childhood because I got to experience all the things, and I felt like my parents gave us the perfect amount of leeway, but the perfect amount of discipline to become the adults that we are. But for me, like, number one, there was always love, and I think that that's super important. But there was also, you're going to do things the right way. You're going to tell the truth, right? And there's going to be discipline. Like, it's not going to be one of these things where you just get to kind of run around crazy and just say whatever you want to people. Like, it's yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir. Like, those things for me were huge takeaways from my parents. But the other thing was hard work, and I saw what my parents had to go through to provide at the level that they felt was fit. They were going to, my dad, the last time we talked about this, said, like, we were going to do everything in our power to make sure that you, your brother, and your sisters had never had to go without. And that meant that, they're waving, my mom and dad were waving to each other on the highway, going to work, coming in and going out. Right. So dad worked nights, mom worked during the days, dad came home, went to sleep while we're at school. And that's the way that it was. Right. So they did all of those things to ensure that we had a good childhood and the life that, and to be set up for success too. Right.
Well, and you said before too, hey, you're going to tell the truth. You're going to do these things this way in this house. I mean, it's funny because you carry those over now, right? And like you do whatever it takes to provide for your kids. My mom always did that. It's like, hey, like I have to make sure that I do everything I can to provide for our son because that's just the way it goes. And even watching my grandparents always coming over to help. And my mom's coming over tonight because Emily's working late, and she's like, "Hey, I want to help with the kid. Like, I want to help with your kids. Obviously, we only have Theo, but at the moment, but it's like whatever I can do to help because I know where you've been. Like, let's try to make that life easier." And she always will say too, like, "Hey, I know working out is important. I know that getting out with him is important. Like, go do those things. Like, you
Yeah.
want to have these traditions in your life. Don't change your schedule for me. Like, keep, she encourages it. It's like, hey, like, I wish that fitness was more part of my routine. She said that to me before.
It is more than it. The one thing with her is it is more now than it ever has been, though. And she can hang her hat on that. Dave, it's kind of like the same thing with me and you. And what I said earlier is like the same thing with my kids. It's like I made mistakes so that later on you don't have to.
Sure.
Right. So if
Yeah.
I'm telling you something, like, that's coming from a place of like, I've been there and I've
Yeah.
done that.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through the misery of being depressed for 2 weeks because you overtrained or whatever the case may be. I think for me, like, not only because my parents are 99.9% of that, but then I also had some really good coaches and some really bad coaches, and seeing the examples that were set by those people in my life have made an impact too. And so that just goes back to say, like, everything that you're doing in front of these kids is just so critical. And it passes through generations, like you were just talking about. Like, it's going to go to them, and then it's going to go to their kids, and then their kids. And it's, it's a crazy concept, but it's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, and you said it too. It's so funny. Like, I had some really good coaches. I had some really bad coaches. The reason that I have felt, and he's only 10 months old, but the reason I have felt that in the future, the idea of, maybe I could be his coach or a mentor, or, helping out on a team or whatever, he decides to do. The reason I always have some apprehension or a pause is because I've had so many bad coaches that have been some of the players, their dad was the coach or another dad was a helper. And I'm like, I hate to say it, but most of them were assholes. They were just bad. They were mean people. These are mean guys, and they were mean to their sons. And I'm like, man, I do not want to be that guy. I just some of them were super chill. And I can tell you the most chill ones were the ones that weren't related to anyone on the team.
No, let me just,
I'm here to coach.
While you're on that, let me just put this out in the open. Like, if you're a parent and your kid's playing T-ball or Little League or Pop Warner football or whatever, and you're that parent that's getting shit-faced, and you're going to the game and you're screaming at the refs and you're cussing at little kids and you're cussing at the coaches, you're not setting a good example.
No.
Like, there's no place.
Or you're literally on the field embarrassing yourself as the coach, and you're embarrassing the entire team. Who cares that you set up the chairs or the orange slices if you're being the absolute worst version of yourself in front of all these people in the community?
I love the orange slices at halftime, bro.
Orange slices were tight.
Anyways, so like, if you're that person, like, go sit your ass down somewhere and let your kid have fun.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
You can.
That was the biggest thing for my mom, is she always said, did you have fun? Like, I know you lost. Like, I'm aware because I went to the game. Or if she didn't go, she'd say, how'd you do it? Oh, we lost. Okay, well, did you have fun? Yeah, I had fun. I had a decent at bat, or hey, like, I had a couple good plays in football. It's like, that's all that matters, dude. Like, you had fun. You learned something. And you had fun.
Like, you learn how to win and you learn how to lose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That is life.
I had a coach that blamed the umpires on in baseball. It's like hard to explain if you don't like baseball, but basically a fly ball happened. The kid, it hit off his glove, and a kid tagged up from third and went home, and he had actually caught it, and they appealed it to third base, and they called him out, and so we lost by a run or two. And our coach threw a shit fit. I mean, there's no other way to say it. He threw a temper tantrum because he said that, the reason we lost was the umpires. It's like, I mean, we lost because, we didn't play better than the other team. I mean, I know that's definitely a factor. That's definitely a reason we lost, but you can't just act like that is the sole reason that we lost and everything else was perfect. I mean, it's a team sport,
Yes, it's like when the place kicker misses the field goal in overtime. It's like,
that was him. He did it. No one else.
Like, I understand that they have one job.
The snap, the hold, the QB pressures. I mean, we're talking about all the other parts on defense, offense, the missed throws, or whatever it is.
Yeah. So again, placing the blame on what, you can't do it. Anyways, I just wanted to put that in there because I can't stand that. I personally I had hard coaches, right? Like, it was tough love. Like, when you screw up, there's a punishment for it. But I don't ever remember dads coming on the field and dog cussing referees and being drunk and doing all these different things.
My parents didn't do that. They would just sit there quietly.
My dad, listen, I could always hear my dad from the stands because he would always yell defense or offense or whatever. But there was never anything negative coming out of that man's mouth.
Positivity. Yeah.
Yeah. And because he was like, you're going to trust your coaches. He was in the military. So that's just part of who he was.
Just chain of command. Yeah.
And, my mom, she was just along for the ride. Like, she wasn't like this big football lover, but she's going to support anything that
she was a Justin fan. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, but we had tough coaches. Up until right before my junior year, our head coach of the varsity team, if we screwed up, we got hit with a boat oar. So I know what it's like in front of the whole entire team. He would say he had a list, and I can remember There was a couple times I was on that list. I did not want to be on that list, but one guy locked his teacher in the classroom. And so he said, "Oh, such and such locked their teacher in the classroom. Come forward." The boat oar, I'm talking a 6-foot boat oar with a handle, and the paddle was this big. He would call you forward in front of the whole team. Doors closed to the field house. No one else. It was an in-house thing. And he said, "This is going to hurt me. Then it's more than it's going to hurt you." And then he would say, "Turn around, bend over, and grab your sack." And depending on how bad the infraction, which this particular infraction was about as bad as it gets, you got walloped. And I remember this particular time, he broke the oar over that young man's ass. And this was a 220-pound defensive end at the time. And so I got it twice.
Did the gentleman, the young man, fall over?
No, this kid was pure muscle. He was a big kid. He was as big as I was in high school, or if not bigger.
The coach just get another. I got a spare oar in the office.
He had a spare. Yeah. So like next man up.
Johnson, go get me another one. Yeah, okay.
And I remember, we had
casually buying a boat oar.
We had two twin brothers on the team, and my parents were all for it. Most of the parents were all for it. There was a couple parents that didn't know about it, and it just so happened that these two twin brothers went home. They didn't even play, right? They were just on the team. They went home and told their mom, and their mom reported it. And so after that, Sam went away. The coach got suspended for 1 game, luckily, because he was a great coach, best high school coach at the time in that area. And Sam went away. So, instead of getting paddled, now when we got in trouble, we had to go out and do scaldy dogs, which is even worse than getting paddled because it takes forever.
What's a scaldy dog?
So you get down on all fours and you take your whatever foot you want and put it over the ankle of your other foot. So now you're on 3 and you have to hop across the field on all fours, and you cannot
just yard 0 to 0, end zone to end zone.
Yeah, 100 yards. And depending on the infraction, you had to do 200, 300, 400 yards. I mean, it was the worst kind of conditioning. There was no rhyme or reason for it other than it just sucked. So
who came up with the scaldy dog?
He did.
The coach that was suspended.
Yes.
He can't. What is this? A guy in prison say, "Hey,
no, he was just He was a hard.
No, but I'm saying like the coach who came in. Oh, you're saying he just went away for one game, and then
it was just a 1-game suspension.
The war didn't come back. Yeah.
Once he came back, and we won that game too. But once he came back, he had to change the way because he replaced a head coach that had an 0-11 varsity team full of Division I studs. So he got fired and then subsequently became the athletic director. And then Coach Stanton came in.
High school, by the way. Yeah. Hey, you honestly are terrible at coaching. Elevation.
So we're just going to make you the athletic director. Yeah. So Coach Stanton comes in, and he comes in on the premise of, for the first time ever at this school, we're going to pay somebody via booster money instead of just like he's a teacher, he makes that, but we're going to pay you extra. So this was like 1999. This hadn't happened a lot before. So we're going to pay you extra, but you're going to come in on the premise of toughness. So we ran the wing tee. We ran like a 3-4 or 4-4 defense, and we built a district championship team, which hadn't happened at the school in 1 year from the toughness that was built through that, right? So all of that was completely overshadowed the whole, paddling situation, right? It's like, and again, most people supported it because if they don't, the parents then don't have to worry about punishing their kid when they get home when they do something stupid, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, but it was never for grades. If you had bad grades, you got help. They helped you get help. If you had bad behavior, you got the paddle or you got scaldy dogs. And so there was a standard there, right? And he held that. It didn't matter who you were. You could be the best player on the team or the worst, and you were going to get Sam if you acted up. And it's just what it was. He had to hold people accountable.
Sam the Oar.
And so...
Is your high school coach still with us? Maybe we should call him up and ask how many scaldy dogs
he's not dead because he was I think middle 30s.
What's his name?
Greg Stanton. But the last I saw of an article from him was up in Jacksonville, Mandarin in 2016, and I don't know that he's coached after that. But I mean, as a guy, like my dad loved him, my mom loved him. He was somewhat of a father figure for a lot of people.
Does he have like a goatee?
Yeah.
It's looking like he was at Creekside.
Creekside. Yeah. Up till what?
He resigned.
Yeah.
2024.
2024.
Yeah. 10 and 22 the past 3 years.
He might be retired now, but yeah, I mean, again, setting the standard, setting examples for everybody, you know, a very.
He was there. He was at your school for 7 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Four playoff years.
Yep. That was up until last year, because they went to states last year. That was the best team. My junior year was the best team we ever had. District champs, went to the third round of the playoffs. Unfortunately, lost to a team that we beat in the regular season. But yeah.
Was he from?
I honestly don't remember.
Up north? No? Oh, okay.
Maybe Georgia. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I just found the article from when he was suspended. July. This was up. It says this was updated. Oh, man. Can't get in. That's very upsetting.
Was that through the Orlando Sentinel?
Yes. Cannot. I can't look at it. What an upsetting time, dude. I'm never going to figure out what happened.
Well,
what's going on over there?
It's my tea. But a great example of a good man that had experienced some things on his own and used his experiences to set the standard for what he felt like young men should act like.
Yeah. And I imagine he took that from parts of his life.
Yeah.
You know, it always goes compounding interest through generations. Like, I'm setting the standard now, 60, 70 years ago. So it doesn't, happen 30 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever it is.
I believe that other than from my father, the level of toughness and pain threshold that I have now is because of what I experienced those 4 years in high school outside of my childhood, because we did the worst of the worst drills that are essentially banned in football now. Like, we did all the board drills, all the Oklahoma drills. We did sharks and minnows, which essentially sharks and minnows was you had all the seniors on one end of the field, and then you had everybody else on the other end of the field. And you battle rush at each other from 50 yards away. And there's no telling who's going to hit who, but it's essentially like a blindside drill. And this coach, Stanton, he had the mindset of like, we might get our butt whooped, but no one's going to hit harder than us.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's going to play harder than us. And you play to the whistle. And so with sharks and minnows, that kind of taught you that, like, you always have your head on a swivel, right? To this day, it's like you have your head on a swivel because you don't want to get blindsided. But you could come from one end of the field. The minnows can't hit the sharks. Only the sharks can hit the minnows, right? So if you get down to the last person, it's 12 or 15 seniors versus the one person, and they all have to run right at each other until it's done, right? So that was a very unique drill that we did amongst all of the other drills. But like, there was none of this. The quarterback's off limits. Hell no. We could smash our quarterback in practice. Throws the ball, boom. Didn't matter. Like, it was just different, right? So again, examples, setting examples, right? Leading from the front.
This is actually really good, by the way, finding that article. That just to ask, did you get a chance to choose between the whack from Sam or detention?
I don't remember.
Or did you get a sunrise service or hazel duty?
I want to say yes.
Yeah.
That you had the option, but the option was so terrible.
Yeah.
That you just it
stadium
was like,
steps is so like no thank you.
Yeah. So okay, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
You ever had where your parents give you the option of being grounded for 3 weeks or taking the spanking, and you're like,
yeah. You just take the spanking. Yeah, you take it. It's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
So it was like that. It was like
picking up trash. It says here, hazel duty.
Yeah.
Or you could do scaldy dogs.
Yeah. It actually says scaldy dogs in the article.
Yeah. Swear to God. Scaldy dogs. Quote unquote scaldy, which meant crawling across the field on hands and knees, but with one leg in the air. Whoever wrote this article says many players like me took a whack to get the punishment over with quickly. And it says after he hugged them and told them that he loved them. Nobody ever hugged me after whack. I'm like, who wrote this article? It does not say.
What was the date on it?
Originally published September 2nd, 1999.
Nobody ever hugged me after. Oh, it's probably somebody that was like, they got spanked and they didn't get a hug afterwards.
Right.
No, and that's the thing. Think about how powerful that is, though, right? You messed up. But this is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you because I don't want to have to do this. But there's got to be some form of correction in your brain to ensure that you're not making these stupid mistakes anymore. Because if you get suspended from school, you can't play, and we need you, right? Like, you're part of this team and we need you. And if you can't play because you want to do dumb stuff, then that's punishing everybody, right? So even the teachers supported, like, if you're going to screw up in class, if you want to be a clown, I'll just go talk to coach.
Right.
That was the end of that, dude. Because you're talking about getting walloped like that. That does not feel good, man. I don't care how big of a bump you got. Like, that stuff does not feel good. So again, like, I personally don't spank my kids because I'm a big, strong guy and, like, I don't want to hurt them. But so I have to have other ways of punishing them, right? But, like, naturally, with this situation, it's like, you've got these big, strong boys. Like, yeah, you can be a little bit more tough with them because it was at that time, it was just a necessary thing. And that was passed down to him from somebody else, I'm sure, in like the 60s and 70s, where it was like, that's just the way they did things. So that's how we're going to do things now.
Right. And I think it's definitely okay to bring back some of the old school stuff, but I tried to tell the kids when I was in a gym or even before, like, hey, like, do you think your coaches are hard on you now? Like, we had some coaches that were doing some pretty reprehensible stuff. I mean, just like you had mentioned, but it's good that it's gotten better. I mean, you can have those accountability conversations and say, hey, like, it's okay to get through this. And, like, I'm going to teach you, like, how to get over it and not make stupid mistakes. But I mean, I wouldn't say violence is, like, not the answer ever. Like, I mean, if you need to teach them a lesson, you got to teach them a lesson, but not hitting your kid. But I mean, now it's like there's so much technology to take it away. I'm just like, cool, like, take away your technology. You're going to just go sit in your room and just talk about it. Like, now we can just.
We're not that far removed from corporal punishment in schools, dude. Like, it's not like that went away.
I had a teacher flip a desk, like, because he was so freaking mad at a student. And it was like, I saw him years later and he was retired and he was like the happiest guy. And I was like, dude, he's not an angry person. He probably was just so frustrated because no one ever listened.
No, and people are going to get pushed to those limits sometimes, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's understandable. But again, like, the power, even more so now that you've read that article and it's kind of jogging the memory of, like, you did this thing and this is the punishment, but I need you to know that we're still a family and I love you.
Yeah.
And when this is over with, we're moving on, right?
Yeah, like, we don't have to talk about it. We don't have to do it.
And the unfortunate thing nowadays is when people take things so super personal, they're just not able to overcome, the professional world and the personal world. And it's like, in that situation, I think, man, what a real thing to say right after doing something like that is you hug them and say you love them. Like, I mean, that's just a powerful thing. And I think you take that to your kids and it's kind of the same way.
Yeah. Well, Theo's been doing this thing where he starts, like, hitting, like, his friends, like, with toys, or hitting me or Emily. And I'm like, dude, we got to stop this. Like, I know you're a baby, but, like, that is not cool. Like, it's just, I'm not going to hit him, but it's like, I tap him back. I'm like, does this feel good?
You just you tap their hand and
I go, I literally go, hey, does this feel good? And he's like, he doesn't do it anymore. I mean, granted, I used to start doing it to myself, like with his hand. So I think he thought it was funny, but yeah, you're absolutely right. We take things from our parents all the time, and you got to show them the way. I mean, fitness, this is definitely a fitness podcast, but it's also like we're just two dads trying to figure it out. Like, you're showing me 10 years in advance what it could look like.
No one can prepare you I can tell you all of the things, and Theo's going to do things that I never talked about, right? No one can prepare you for what it's like to be a parent or for what's coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's like I had this thought the other day. It's like, how many times you hear somebody, like, trying to talk about, like, what's the meaning of life, right? Like, and I think that when your childhood is all about experiences. It's all about experiencing things and prepping you for adulthood, right? And you can think in the way that the universe works, like we're obviously made to reproduce. So naturally, everybody should reproduce, even though they don't. Not everybody wants to have kids, understandable. But the way that I view it is that so you go through childhood, right? You get the experiences, you see the things, your parents teach you some things, you learn some things, then you kind of go off and you learn some stuff on your own when you're out of the house in college or whatever. And then you become a parent. And that's where you start to understand what the meaning of your life is potentially, right? And so I always had the thought of like, I'm here to play football, right? And that shrouded everything for me because I couldn't see beyond the game. I didn't have a vision beyond the game. And even when I went to work at the sheriff's department, there was just the fulfillment still wasn't there. And it wasn't till we had kids and I started to do the daily things of being a parent that I didn't start to, that's when I started to realize, the meaning of my life, right? Which is like you go through these chapters of your life or these phases. So your life's in 3 or 4 phases, right? So like my parents are in phase 4 where they're enjoying all the fruits of their labor and they're enjoying seeing their kids be successful, right? That's what that last phase or that second to last phase is like. I'm in that phase, you're in that phase right now where being a parent is the meaning of our life. It's giving to them in every way that we can to ensure that the next generation is a lot better than the current generation that's a couple 10, 20 years behind us that are not everybody, but that are kind of screwing things up. And so that's a big weight and that's a big responsibility, right? But to me, like you can figure out the meaning of what you're here for when you have, and that doesn't mean that if you
I mean, and I will say some people can't physically have kids, and that's okay.
No, and that's okay.
Their meaning of their life can be different too. Like
but
before I had kids, it was literally to like have fun and like be a good inspiration for my niece and nephew, and now it's like absolutely be the best husband possible for Emily and be the best dad and be someone that he can always like we were chatting about this yesterday. I said I always want to be there for Theo, that if he's in a bad situation, he can always call me and say, "Can you come get me? I need your advice on this. Could you help me in some sort of capacity?" And my answer will always be yes. But it's like always going to be like, "Hey, I'm not going to beat the crap out of you when I get there. We're going to try to get through this together and then talk through it." So we both learn something. Like what did I do that I need to fix, and what do you do that you need to fix, so we don't get back here.
Once you're a parent, you never stop being a parent, right? Your kids, they grow up, but you're still. My parents will say to this day, like, if you need us, we're there. They'll drop what they're doing and they will do the best that they can.
And it might be something small like getting Jack from golf camp or running down the street for some milk. It's like, sure, whatever. Like being needed is what you need to do for
sure. And so like ultimately that's kind of, once you get to that stage, that's kind of, that becomes your meaning. And again, that's personal. That's not everybody. But for me, like I derive a lot of my motivation in the way that I do things and the way that I think about things from them. So if I'm having a bad day, right? Or if I don't feel like doing the dishes or vacuuming or whatever, it's really easy for me to just turn and look and remember exactly why it is that I'm doing.
Well, it's like you look at it from different perspectives too. Like it's super hot, right? In Texas, 100+ degrees. I go pick him up from daycare. We go yesterday. We forget the car seat. So she waits with him. I drive all the way back home. I get the car seat. I drive all the way back. And I'm like, you know what? I could be all angry about getting in the car and having to sit here for an extra 30, 45 minutes. Or I could just be like, this is so silly and funny. And it's like, I'm lucky to spend this time with Theo and like extra time in the car with him, or she gets to have a moment to herself with him in the daycare, and like he actually had a blast. She said, like we thought he was gonna have a meltdown, or like, oh, it's stressful because my mom's coming over. I got to make sure the house is picked up. Versus like being more grateful and saying, hey, this is actually awesome that he spends so much time with his grandmother, And he gets so excited. This is the time where he's really remembering people. His face lights up. Like anytime someone comes to the house, he thinks it's for them. And most likely it is for them. So he's for him rather. And so he like forgets that I'm there. He's like, all right, mom, mom's home. Dad is not, the most important guy now, or Grammy's here. And, dad is there, but I need Grammy's help. And so it's just, you're remembering that like you're here to help him and whatever he needs. So yeah, absolutely. Well, to close it out on the episode, you said we had like action items that we wanted to do. I think we kind of covered them. Like, just leave this place better. If you're a parent, just leave this place better than when you got on it. I think that's probably action item 1.
Maybe we can do one more where it's just around like
part 3.
The best like programming for parents, the best modalities to use.
That's fine with me. I'm good with that.
For improving fitness and all. I think that, we've really hit hard on like the psychological aspects of discipline and setting the example and setting the tone and all that stuff. And so now for the people that have watched and have been drawn in by this topic, because it is a very, very, very critical topic. Now, okay, all of this is great. I know how to set the example now. I know what I need to do. What are the things that I can do to execute this on a high level?
Yeah, I'm good with that. I know we had another plan for next week, but we can kind of tie it into that.
Yeah, I mean, we can do the one that you talked about and then add that to it. Do
you want to tell the listeners about my idea?
Go for it.
So Justin, is it Tuesday is your birthday?
Yes, Tuesday.
Yeah, so Tuesday you're going to be 43. So an idea that I had was 4 things that you could tell our listeners that you've learned that you want everyone else to know that that you could probably maybe let me start that over. 4 things that you've learned over the past 3 decades that is very important to share with our listeners. So anything, ranging from fitness, nutrition, parenting, it's going to be a lot. So, I mean, there can obviously be more than 4, but I think 4 main things, and then there's going to be subcategories. Just try to educate. Yeah, I mean, because you've been a dad for 11 years. You've been a husband for like 11 or 12, right? About the same?
16.
16? Yeah.
17, 16 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I mean, shoot, if I could tell my younger self something 10 years ago, it'd probably be just to train a lot harder, or, hey, you're not going to be this young every day for the rest of your life. So I'm sure that we're going to get some good stories or when you learned that lesson.
Yep.
And one thing, this isn't like, he's not even going to hear this, but like, did you see the influencer? We like this influencer, but he's gone a little sideways. He took his girls to a concert and then he did like a workout in the parking lot of a major concert or a facility that hosts football.
I didn't watch the whole clip, but I saw it.
Filming yourself drinking like a protein shake is like something that like, Justin, I don't look like a very cute person in general. When I'm like just sitting there gulping down a protein shake, I don't want anyone watching me. That's like me eating
the chocolate.
It's like me. No, but I mean, that's like me eating a hot dog. Do you really want to watch another person like eat a hot dog? Like that's just very odd. Even Emily's like, whoa, what's going on over there? It's like you just inhale that food. It's just not a very sexy thing or entertaining thing to watch, in my opinion.
Somebody is directing him behind the scenes, so I don't know.
I don't know. And all of our listeners are like, well, who are you talking about? It's like all of our listeners, like my mom and your mom, a couple other people, but your mom will send you a text. Who are you talking about? Don't worry about it, Mom. Awesome. Well, hey, this has been another awesome episode of the Conjugate Dads podcast for Justin Commodores and Common Athlete Performance Coaching. I'm Dave Chase, and we hope to come back soon with another episode. Justin's going on vacation, so we wish him well and hope he has fun. Where are you going?
Florida.
All right, there we go.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, training at the friend's house again. Sweet. All right. We'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Peace.